An American veteran returns to Vietnam. His words bring an enemy to tears. Roger Howell, a former American soldier who served in the Vietnam War, enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps at the tender age of 17. Following his training, he was deployed to Vietnam in late 1965. Recalling those harrowing years, Roger recounted his first deployment to Vietnam. During my very first trip to Vietnam, our unit was engaged in a search and destroy mission. We advanced on a military base, and over the course of a brutal 5-day battle, we fought hand-to-hand. More than half of our group suffered casualties, and 5 of our helicopters were shot down within 3 days. Wounded soldiers perished because we couldn't evacuate them. We were forced to subsist on the rations of fallen enemy soldiers, fending off relentless attacks day after day as bodies piled up around us. Despite believing he was well-trained, Roger confessed that Vietnam was a different kind of war altogether, especially for an 18-year-old. He vividly recalled witnessing his platoon sergeant being shot in the head by a .51 caliber machine gun bullet for the first time. A surge of fear, anger, and profound sorrow welled up within him, yet he had to suppress it and continue fighting. I had never seen anyone die before, he admitted, but what I witnessed during that brief 45-minute firefight has haunted my mind ever since. On most deployments, Roger consistently volunteered for the most perilous missions and, remarkably, always returned unscathed. His bravery, however, attracted attention, and the North Vietnamese army eventually placed a $500 bounty on anyone who could kill him. Roger's luck finally ran out when he sustained life-threatening injuries during his 3rd tour of duty in Vietnam. Lying in the hospital, he overheard a doctor grimly inform his twin brother that Roger was going to die, and there was nothing more they could do. Upon hearing those words, just 3 months shy of his 23rd birthday, Roger cried out to God in desperation. "My God," he prayed, "if there truly is a God, if you let me live, I will do anything you desire." Miraculously, Roger did recover, but like countless other veterans, he later developed severe post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. He was haunted by the horrors of war and desperately tried to erase the emotional scars. Yet the memories of Vietnam would resurrect every night when he fell asleep. Roger confessed, "Vietnam was the only place in the world I never wanted to return to." In an attempt to banish those recurring nightmares, he buried himself in alcohol for nearly 5 years. This desperate coping mechanism pushed his marriage to the brink of collapse and caused his career as a criminal investigator to suffer significant setbacks. In his profound loneliness and despair, he once again turned to God. Finally, after 4.5 years of being tormented by the war, Roger found profound peace and healing through his renewed faith. His broken marriage was also miraculously mended. A return to Vietnam and an unexpected encounter with an enemy. Since 1989, Roger and his wife have dedicated themselves to humanitarian work, particularly with an organization called Veterans with a Mission. This organization has facilitated the return of nearly 1,400 American veterans to Vietnam, aiming to foster healing and reconciliation. They have also established clinics and dispatched medical teams to rural areas of South Vietnam. It was during one of these profound return trips that Roger unexpectedly found himself sitting directly across from a former enemy, as he recounted. "At that time, we were working at a polio orphanage and planning our next project. I met with a group of Vietnamese officials, one of whom was a former North Vietnamese soldier. He was a colonel in charge of all social services in Saigon. As we began to converse, I made a startling discovery. He was the regimental commander of the very unit that had nearly annihilated my own unit during that harrowing 5-day battle near the demilitarized zone, DMZ. An eerie silence immediately fell over the other side of the table. We had a remarkable young woman named Hien as our interpreter. Hien was truly wonderful, proficient in about 5 languages, including English, French, and German. We were communicating with the colonel through her when he finally asked, "Why are you doing this? Specifically, why are you returning to our country, especially when we were once enemies?" I looked at the colonel and replied, "Sir, I want you to understand that through my faith in Jesus, all the pain I endured in Vietnam, He has completely taken away. I can sincerely tell you that I love you, and God loves you too." Suddenly, Hien sat down at the end of the table and burst into tears. Another profound silence descended. All the Vietnamese officials looked down at the table, pensive, surely wondering what this imperialist had said to their beloved little sister to make her cry. The silence stretched for several minutes. Then, when Hien finally turned to the colonel and relayed my words, he shifted his gaze from Hien to me with a look of stunned astonishment. He then stood up and began to pace back and forth. I stood up and faced him. He looked at me. Then, without a word, he embraced me and began to sob uncontrollably. After he finished crying, he turned to Hien and me and said, "No enemy has ever told me that he loved me. War invariably brings with it death, haunting memories, and deep-seated hatred. Yet, after enduring such profound suffering, it was love that ultimately helped Roger heal himself, and in doing so, offered a profound path to reconciliation for this nation once ravaged by conflict."